The great hall of the Eternal Throne was full of light and music. 12 different species sat in their seats, watching the stage with proud faces. This was the most important day in the galactic calendar. Today marked exactly 3,000 years since the last human died. Ambassador Yunki walked to the center of the stage. He was a Valari, a tall creature with silver skin and 4 eyes that could see in every direction. His voice was smooth and calm as he began to speak. "My friends," he said, "today we remember the cleansing. 3,000 years ago, our ancestors made a difficult choice. They removed a dangerous species from our galaxy. Because of their sacrifice, we have known peace ever since." The crowd made sounds of agreement. The Valari hummed. The Kreth clicked their claws. The smaller species nodded their many heads. Everyone agreed. The humans had been a problem. Now the problem was gone. Yunki continued his speech. He talked about how humans have been violent, how they fought wars among themselves, how they spread too fast across the stars, how they asked too many questions and broke too many rules. They could not be controlled, Yunki said. They could not be taught. In the end, they could not be allowed to exist. Nobody in the hall felt guilty. The guilt had died a long time ago. Their history books said the cleansing was necessary. Their children learned that humans were monsters. After 3,000 years, the lie had become the truth. Far away from the celebration, a small science ship moved through empty space. Captain Hana sat in her chair and watched the stars through the window. She was young for a Valari captain, only 90 years old. Her silver skin was still smooth, and her 4 eyes were still bright with curiosity. "Captain," said her navigator, "we are approaching the dead zone." Hana leaned forward. The dead zone was the most forbidden place in the galaxy. It was where Earth used to be, where humans used to live. No ship was allowed to go there. But Hana had special permission. She was mapping old space routes for the assembly. "Take us closer," she said. "But stay outside the boundary." The ship moved forward slowly. Hana looked at the darkness ahead. Somewhere in that void was a dead planet covered in poison. Somewhere in that blackness were the bones of 8 billion people. She tried not to think about it. Suddenly, her communications officer made a sharp sound. "Captain, I am detecting something strange." Hana turned quickly. "What is it?" "A signal. Coming from inside the dead zone. That is impossible. Nothing can survive in there." "I know, Captain. But the signal is real. It is repeating. It is mathematical." Hana felt her heart beat faster. A mathematical signal meant intelligence. But there was no intelligence in the dead zone. Everything there was dead. "Record it," she ordered. "We must report this to the assembly." 3 days later, Hana stood before the Galactic Council. The great leaders of all 12 species looked down at her from their high seats. She felt very small. "You claim to have found a signal," said Elder Counselor Taisu. He was an old Valari, his silver skin now gray with age. Unlike the others, his eyes showed interest, not doubt. "Yes, Elder, a mathematical sequence. Prime numbers." It repeated for 6 hours before stopping. Military Commander De Jong of the Kreth stood up. He was a massive creature, covered in hard red plates like armor. His voice was deep and angry. "This is nonsense," he said. "The dead zone has been empty for 3,000 years. Your equipment is broken, young captain." "My equipment is not broken," Hana said firmly. "The signal was real." "Then it is a trap," De Jong replied. "Some old human machine, still running after all this time. We should send a fleet to destroy it." "Destroy what we do not understand?" Taisu asked. "That sounds familiar." The room went quiet. Everyone knew what Taisu meant. That was exactly what they had done to the humans. De Young's plates clicked with anger. The humans were dangerous. Whatever this signal is, it could be dangerous too. We cannot take risks. Before anyone could respond, the lights in the great hall flickered. Every screen, every device, every communication system came alive at once. A sound filled the room. It was a voice. A human voice. The words were in an ancient language that most species did not know. But the assembly had translation systems. Within seconds, every being in the room heard the message in their own tongue. We remember what you did. The voice was calm, almost gentle. But there was something underneath. Something cold. And we have returned. The message ended. The screens went dark. The room was silent. Hana looked at the faces around her. She saw fear. Real fear. For the first time in 3,000 years, the mighty Galactic Assembly was afraid. Elder Taesu was the first to speak. His voice was barely a whisper. What have we done? Commander Dae-Young slammed his armored fist on his seat. Impossible. We killed them all. Every single one. Our records confirm it. Records can be wrong, Taesu said quietly. We only saw what we wanted to see. Hana stood frozen in the center of the room. Her four eyes were wide. Her silver hands were shaking. The humans were supposed to be gone forever. Every child in the galaxy knew this as fact. Every history book said the same thing. The cleansing was complete. Humanity was extinct. But somewhere in the darkness between stars, someone was waiting. Someone who remembered. Someone who had survived for 3,000 years. And they were coming back. The galaxy would never be the same again. 3,000 years before the signal, a young woman named Yunbai worked in a small laboratory on Earth. She was not famous. She was not powerful. She was just a scientist who liked to study the stars. But Yunbai was also very smart. And she could see what others refused to see. The alien species of the Galactic Assembly smiled at humans. They traded with humans. They shared technology with humans. But Yunbai noticed something strange. Every time humans made a new discovery, the aliens became nervous. Every time humans built something new, the aliens held secret meetings. One night, Yunbai broke into an alien communication system. What she found changed everything. The assembly was planning to kill all humans. Every man, woman, and child. They called it the cleansing. They said humans were growing too fast, learning too quickly. In 100 years, humans would become the most powerful species in the galaxy. The assembly could not allow this. The attack would come in 5 years. Yunbai did not cry. She did not scream. She simply started working. In secret, she gathered other humans who believed her. Scientists, engineers, pilots, and soldiers. They worked day and night for 5 years. They built 12 massive ships, bigger than anything humans had ever made. They called them the Exodus Fleet. The ships could carry 50,000 people. They filled them with families, with children, with the old and the young. They loaded every book, every song, every piece of art that humanity had ever created. They saved seeds and animals and medicine. Most importantly, they found an unstable wormhole at the edge of the solar system. The wormhole led to another galaxy entirely, Andromeda, 2 million light years away. Nobody had ever traveled through such a wormhole. It might kill them all, but staying meant certain death. On the night before the cleansing began, Captain Suho stood on the bridge of the lead ship. They called it the Last Dawn. He was a tall man with kind eyes and steady hands. Behind him, 12 ships waited for his order. "Are we ready?" he asked. His second officer, a woman named Ji-young, nodded. "All ships report green. 50,000 souls aboard." Suho looked back at Earth one last time. He could see the blue oceans and green lands. He could see the lights of cities where billions of people slept, not knowing what tomorrow would bring. He could not save them all. He could only save these few. "Take us through," he said. The Exodus fleet entered the wormhole. Behind them, Earth began to burn. The journey through the wormhole took 3 days. 3 days of shaking and fear and prayers. When they emerged on the other side, the stars were completely different. They had made it. They were in Andromeda. But their journey was not over. It took 500 years to find a new home. Captain Suho died on the ship. His daughter took command after him. Then her son. Then his daughter. Generation after generation lived and died in space, never seeing land, never breathing fresh air. Finally, after 500 years, they found a planet. It had blue oceans and green forests, just like Earth. They landed and built new cities. They called their new home New Seoul, and then something amazing happened. Without the assembly watching them, humans were free to grow, free to learn, free to become whatever they wanted to be. They made friends with machines, not slaves, but partners. Artificial minds that worked alongside human minds. They learned to copy their thoughts into computers. Death became a choice, not a fate. They changed their own bodies, made themselves stronger, smarter, healthier. And they built ships. Ships that could cross between galaxies in weeks instead of centuries. 3,000 years passed. The 50,000 survivors became 80 billion people. And they never forgot. Every child learned about Earth. Every family kept the memory alive. Every year, they held a ceremony for the dead. They called it Remembrance Day. Now, back in the Milky Way galaxy, Elder Counselor Tae-Soo sat alone in the Forbidden Archives. The message from the humans had shaken him deeply. He needed to know the truth. The archives contained records that no ordinary citizen could see. Records from before the cleansing. Records that told a different story than the history books. Tae-Soo read for hours. His old hands trembled as he turned page after page. The official history said humans were violent and dangerous. But the records showed something else. Humans had never attacked first. Humans had always tried to make peace. Humans had shared their discoveries freely with every species. The real reason for the cleansing was fear. Human scientists were about to discover faster-than-light travel without wormholes. Human doctors were about to cure all diseases. Human engineers were about to build things that made assembly technology look like children's toys. In 100 years, humans would have become gods among the stars. The assembly decided to kill them instead. Tae-Soo closed the records. Tears ran down his silver face. "We murdered children," he whispered. "We murdered an entire species because we were jealous. Because we were afraid." He made a decision. He would find these returned humans. He would tell them the truth. He would give them the evidence of what really happened. It was the least he could do. Outside the archives, the galaxy was in chaos. News of the human message had spread everywhere. Some species wanted war. Some wanted peace. Some wanted to run and hide. And at the edge of assembly space, 200 black ships appeared from nowhere. They were beautiful and terrible, curved like blades, silent like death. At the front was the largest ship anyone had ever seen. Its name was written in an ancient Earth language, Remembrance. On the bridge stood Admiral Han-Woo. He was old now, 140 years, but his eyes were sharp and his mind was clear. His grandmother had been born on the last dawn during the Exodus. His blood carried 3,000 years of waiting. Beside him stood his daughter, Captain Yuna. Her face was hard and her heart was full of anger. "Father," she said, "we are in position. What are your orders?" Haiyan Wu looked at the stars of his ancestors' galaxy. Somewhere out there was Earth, dead and poisoned. Somewhere out there were the bones of his family. "We go forward," he said. "It is time for the galaxy to meet us again." Yuna smiled coldly. "And then?" Haiyan Wu was quiet for a long moment. "That depends on them." The Galactic Assembly had never felt fear like this before. For 3,000 years, they had been the masters of the galaxy. They made the rules. They decided who lived and who died. They thought nothing could challenge them. Now 200 human ships floated at their border, and everything had changed. Admiral Haiyan Wu sent a simple message to the assembly. "We request a meeting. We come in peace, but we will not be attacked. If you try to harm us, we will defend ourselves." The assembly argued for days. Commander De Young of the Kreth wanted to attack immediately. "They are only 200 ships," he said. "We have millions. We can destroy them before they spread." Elder Tasu shook his head. "We tried to destroy them once. It did not work. Perhaps we should try something different." "Talking is weakness," De Young growled. "War is stupidity," Taisu replied. In the end, they agreed to a meeting. The humans would send one ship to the Eternal Throne. The assembly would listen to their demands. The human shuttle landed in the Great Hall. The door opened, and 3 figures stepped out. The first was Admiral Haiyan Wu. He walked slowly, with dignity. His uniform was simple and black, without medals or decorations. He needed nothing to prove his power. The second was a woman named Bora. She was the human translator. Small machines inside her brain allowed her to speak and understand every language in the galaxy. She smiled politely at the alien faces around her. The third was Captain Yuna. She did not smile. Her eyes moved across the room, marking every exit, every guard, every possible threat. Her hand stayed close to the weapon at her side. 12 species watched the humans enter. Some were curious. Some were afraid. Some were angry. None of them had ever seen a living human before. Haiyan Wu stopped in the center of the room. He looked up at the high seats where the leaders sat. He said nothing. He simply waited. Ambassador Yunki of the Valari spoke first. "You are humans?" "We are," Haiyan Wu said. "We thought your kind was extinct. You thought wrong." The room was silent. Nobody knew what to say. For 3,000 years, they had celebrated the death of humanity. Now a human stood before them, calm and unafraid. Elder Tesu leaned forward. "How did you survive?" 50,000 of us escaped, Haiyan Wu said. "We flew to another galaxy. We built a new civilization. We had children and grandchildren. We grew strong." He paused. "And we remembered." Commander De Young made an angry sound. "You speak of the past. But you are here now with warships. What do you want?" Haiyan Wu turned to face the Kreth commander. His eyes were cold. "We want 3 things," he said. "First, we want the assembly to admit what they did. Not a cleansing, a genocide. The murder of 8 billion innocent people." The room erupted in angry voices. Some species shouted that this was lies. Others demanded that Haiyan Wu show respect. Haiyan Wu waited for the noise to stop. Then he continued. "Second, we want access to Earth, our homeworld. We want to bury our dead properly and clean the poison from the soil." This request was more reasonable. Some leaders nodded slowly. "Third, we want seats on this council. We want a voice in galactic affairs. We will not be ignored again." Dae-Young stood up, his armor plates clicking with rage. "You come here after 3,000 years and make demands? You are guests in this galaxy. We could destroy your little fleet in an hour." Yuna stepped forward, but Haiyan Wu raised his hand to stop her. "You are welcome to try," he said calmly. Dae Young's eyes narrowed. "Is that a threat?" "It is a fact." Without waiting for permission, Dae Young stormed out of the hall. He sent orders to his fleet, 2,000 Kreth warships, the largest military force in the assembly. They would attack the humans immediately. The Kreth ships surrounded the human fleet. They were massive vessels, covered in weapons. Each one was 10 times the size of a human ship. Dae Young watched from his command ship. He smiled. "Fire," he ordered. 2,000 ships fired at once. Enough firepower to destroy a planet. The human ships did not move. They did not fire back. They simply activated their shields. The Kreth weapons hit nothing. Lasers bent away. Missiles disappeared. Nuclear bombs became harmless light. Dae Young stared at his screens. "Impossible," he whispered. Then the humans responded. They did not fire weapons. Instead, they sent out a wave of energy. It was invisible, harmless, and unstoppable. In exactly 47 seconds, every Kreth ship went dark. Engines stopped. Weapons went offline. Lights flickered and died. 2,000 warships, the pride of the Kreth Dominion, floated dead in space. But not a single crew member was hurt. Admiral Haiyan Wu's voice came through every communication system. "You spent 3,000 years building weapons," he said. "We spent 3,000 years becoming better. We do not want to destroy you. We want to teach you. The choice is yours." Back in the Great Hall, the assembly watched in horror as their greatest fleet was defeated in less than a minute. Bazara translated Haiyan Wu's next message for those who could not understand. "We could kill every one of you. We choose not to. That is the difference between us. That is what you tried to murder. That is what survived." Taesu stood slowly. His whole body was shaking, but not with fear. With relief. "We accept your terms," he said. "All 3 of them. You cannot speak for the assembly." Yoon Ki protested. "Then the assembly is a fool," Taesu replied. He walked down from his seat, across the great hall, and stood before Haiyan Wu. "I want to join you. I have evidence of what really happened 3,000 years ago. Names, dates, orders, everything." Haiyan Wu studied the old Velari. "Why would you help us?" Taesu's 4 eyes filled with tears. "Because what we did was wrong. Because I cannot change the past, but I can help build a better future." He paused. "Because someone must say sorry." For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Haiyan Wu did something unexpected. He reached out and placed his hand on Taesu's shoulder. "Come with us," he said. "Tell us everything." As they walked toward the human shuttle, Yuna leaned close to her father. "You trust him?" Haiyan Wu shook his head. "Not yet. But trust has to start somewhere." Behind them, the Galactic Assembly fell into chaos. The old order was breaking. Something new was being born. And humanity had only just begun. The small ship moved slowly through the dead zone. Inside, Admiral Haiyan Wu sat in silence. Beside him were Tezu, Biora, and Yuna. They could see a blue and brown planet, Earth, or what was left of it. The oceans were dark and oily. The continents were gray and lifeless. No green remained. No forests, no fields, no gardens. The assembly had used biological weapons that killed every living thing. 3,000 years later, the poison still lingered. "This was home," Haiyan Wu said quietly. 8 billion people lived here. Families, children, artists and farmers and teachers. Taesu could not look. He kept his 4 eyes on the floor. "I am sorry. I know words are not enough. But I am sorry." Yuna made an angry sound. "Sorry does not bring back the dead." "No," Taesu agreed. "Nothing can. The ship landed in what used to be Seoul, the capital city of Korea, where Haenwoo's ancestors had lived. Now it was only ruins and dust. They wore special suits to protect them from the poison. The air was thick and gray. Nothing moved. Nothing lived. Haenwoo walked through the dead streets. He tried to imagine what this place had looked like. Tall buildings full of people. Markets with food and music. Children playing in parks. All gone now. All turned to dust. They found bones. Thousands of bones lying in the streets where people had fallen. The assembly had not buried them. They had not even tried to clean up. They had simply killed everyone and walked away. Haenwoo knelt beside a small skeleton. A child, maybe 8 or 9 years old. The bones still wore a backpack, like the child had been going to school. "My grandfather died here," Haenwoo said. "He was 12 years old. He never got to grow up. He never got to fall in love. He never got to have children." His voice broke. "But somehow, our family survived. Somehow, we are still here." Yuna stood behind her father. For the first time, her hard face showed something other than anger. She showed grief. "They did this," she said. "The assembly did this." And they celebrated it. For 3,000 years, they had parties about killing children. Taesu fell to his knees. His old body shook with sobs. "We did not know," he cried. "We believed the lies. We thought humans were monsters." "We were children," Haenwoo said, lifting the small skull gently. "We were mothers and fathers. We were poets and dreamers. We were not monsters. You just made us into monsters so you would not feel guilty." They collected bones for hours. Carefully, respectfully, they gathered the remains of the dead. They would take them back to New Seoul, where they would finally be buried properly. On the flight back, Taesu shared everything he knew. He showed them the secret files, the real history, the names of every leader who voted for the genocide, the species who provided weapons, the corporations that made profit from human death. "The Valari made the biological weapons," Taesu admitted. "My own people. We told ourselves it was quick and painless. We told ourselves it was mercy." He laughed bitterly. "There is no mercy in killing 8 billion people." Biora read through the files. Her face grew darker with every page. "Every species participated," she said. "Every single one. Some provided weapons. Some provided soldiers. Some just looked away. And some made money?" Yuna added coldly. "Look at this." The Kreth sold human bones as decorations for 50 years after the cleansing. Haenwoo closed his eyes. The weight of history pressed down on him. 3,000 years of grief, all on his shoulders. "What do we do now?" Baor asked. "We have 3 choices," Haenwoo said. "We can destroy them. Our weapons are strong enough. We could wipe out every species that participated." "Good," Yuna said. "But that would make us no better than them," Haenwoo continued. "We would become the monsters they always feared." Yuna shook her head. "They deserve to die. Do their children deserve to die? Their grandchildren? Are we going to punish innocent people for what their ancestors did?" Yuna had no answer. "The second choice is to leave," Haenwoo said. "Go back to Andromeda. Forget this galaxy forever. Live in peace. And let them escape justice?" Yuna asked. "Sometimes justice is not worth the cost," Taesu said quietly. Haenwoo shook his head. "The third choice is the hardest. We stay. We demand justice for the leaders who ordered the genocide. We force them to admit the truth. But we also forgive the ordinary people. We build something new together. Forgiveness." Yuna said the word like it was poison. "After everything they did." "Forgiveness is not for them," Haenwoo replied. "It is for us. If we carry hatred forever, we will never be free. Our ancestors did not survive just so we could become murderers. Far away, in the Krethon world, Commander Dae-young was planning something terrible. He had been humiliated. His fleet had been defeated without even scratching a human ship. The assembly was talking about peace. His own people were starting to question him. But Dae-young had one more weapon. A secret weapon that had been hidden for 3,000 years. During the original cleansing, Kreth spies had stolen human technology. One piece of that technology was a bomb. Not just any bomb. A star killer. A weapon that could make a sun explode. The humans had never used it. They had built it only as a last defense. But the Kreth had taken it and hidden it away. Now Dae-young would use it against them. His target was not the human fleet. His target was New Sol's sun. If he destroyed their star, the entire human civilization would die. 80 billion people, gone in a flash of light. If we cannot beat them, Dae-young said to his loyal officers, we will destroy everything they built. They will wish they had stayed extinct. The star killer launched in secret. It traveled faster than any warning could reach. It moved toward Andromeda, toward the human homeworld, toward the end of humanity's second chance. Meanwhile, on the Remembrance, Admiral Hyun-woo received a visitor. Captain Hana, the Valari who had first discovered the human signal, had escaped from assembly space. She came with a warning. Dae-young has launched something, she said. I do not know what it is, but it is heading toward your home galaxy. My people tried to stop him, but he called us traitors. Hyun-woo felt his blood go cold. A star killer, he whispered. They kept the star killer. What is a star killer? Hana asked. Our worst invention. A weapon we never wanted to use. And now it is heading toward our sun. Yuna grabbed her father's arm. We have to go back. We have to stop it. We cannot stop it, Hyun-woo said. Nothing is faster than that weapon. He paused. But we might be able to save the star. If we are willing to pay the price. What price? Hyun-woo looked at his daughter. His eyes were filled with sadness. Someone will have to fly into the sun. The news spread across the human fleet like fire. A star killer was heading toward New Sol. 80 billion people would die. Everything they had built in 3,000 years would be destroyed. Panic tried to take hold, but the humans did not let it. Admiral Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the Remembrance and addressed his people. Our ancestors survived the first genocide. They traveled across galaxies. They built a new civilization from nothing. We are their children. We do not give up. We do not surrender. We find a way. There was one hope. The Aegis Protocol. Human scientists had designed it centuries ago as a defense against stellar weapons. A special shield that could protect a star from explosion. But the shield had to be activated from inside the sun itself. The heat would destroy any ship. The pilot would not survive. It was a suicide mission. Yuna stepped forward. I will do it. Hyun-woo turned to face his daughter. His heart broke. Yuna, no. Father, it has to be me. I am the best pilot in the fleet. I have the best chance of reaching the core in time. I cannot lose you. Yuna took her father's hands. Her hard face had softened. For the first time in years, she looked like the little girl who used to sit on his knee and ask about Earth. Father, I have spent my whole life angry. I wanted revenge so badly that I forgot why we survived in the first place. Not to destroy. To protect. To love. To hope. She smiled sadly. Let me do this. Let me be the person our ancestors would be proud of. Hyun-woo pulled his daughter close. Tears ran down his old face. I am already proud of you. I have always been proud of you. Then let me go. He held her for a long moment. Then he stepped back. Go. Save our people. Yuna walked to her ship. The entire fleet watched. Nobody spoke. The only sound was the hum of engines and the beating of human hearts. As she climbed into the cockpit, Bora ran up to her. Wait, take this. She pressed a small device into Yuna's hand. It will broadcast your final moments to every screen in both galaxies. Let them see. Let them understand. Yuna nodded. Make sure they remember. Not just us. All of us. Human and alien. Make sure they remember what hate costs. And what love can do. Her ship launched toward the wormhole that connected the two galaxies. The journey took 3 days. 3 days alone in the darkness between stars. 3 days to think about life and death and everything in between. Yuna reached New Sol just as the Star Killer entered the solar system. She could see it on her screens. A small metal device, carrying enough power to destroy a star. This is Captain Yuna of the Remembrance Fleet, she broadcast. I am activating the Aegis Protocol. To everyone watching, human and alien alike, listen to me. She flew toward the sun. The heat began to rise. Warning lights flashed across her control panel. 3,000 years ago, your ancestors tried to destroy us. They almost succeeded, but we survived. Not through hate. Not through revenge. Through hope. Through love. Through refusing to give up. The temperature climbed higher. Her ship's shields began to fail. I could have spent my life being angry. I was angry for a long time. But anger is a cage. It traps you in the past. My ancestors did not survive, so I could be a prisoner. She entered the outer layers of the sun. Fire surrounded her. The ship screamed with stress. This is what humanity is. We die for each other. We die for hope. We will not die for hatred. Remember that. Remember us. Be better than your ancestors were. Be better than we were. Her finger pressed the button to activate the Aegis Protocol. In that moment, a wave of energy spread outward from her ship. It met the Star Killer's explosion and absorbed it. The sun flickered, shook, and then stabilized. New Sol was saved. Yuna's last words were simple. Father, I love you. I am not afraid. Then, her transmission ended. Across 2 galaxies, billions of beings watched in silence. Humans wept for their hero. Aliens stared in confusion. They had never seen anyone sacrifice themselves for others. On the Remembrance, Haiyan Wu stood alone in his quarters. He held a picture of his daughter as a child. His tears fell like rain. But there was no time for grief. Not yet. The human fleet moved toward the Kreth homeworld. Every species expected destruction. They had seen human power. They knew what the weapons could do. The Kreth had tried to kill 80 billion people. Surely the humans would respond with fire. Instead, the human ships landed peacefully. Admiral Haiyan Wu walked out to face the Kreth people. Millions of them gathered in the streets, waiting for death. You killed my daughter, Haiyan Wu said. His voice was carried to every corner of the planet. Your leader fired a weapon at innocent people. Children, families, people who never did anything wrong. The Kreth lowered their heads in shame. I could destroy you all. My weapons could turn this planet into ash. No one would stop me. Many would say you deserve it. He paused. The silence was absolute. But that is not who we are. That is not who my daughter died for. He raised his hand. We do not want revenge. We want justice. Commander De Young and his officers will stand trial for their crimes. But the rest of you, the ordinary people, the children, the innocent, you have nothing to fear from us. Human medics began setting up stations. Human engineers started repairing damage from their own weapons. Human teachers offered to share knowledge. The Kreth could not believe it. They had tried to commit genocide, and the humans were offering help. 1 year later, everything had changed. The Galactic Assembly was gone. In its place was a new council where every species had equal voice. Humans did not rule. They served as diplomats, teachers, and guardians. Elder Tesu, now very old, spoke at the first joint session. We spent 3,000 years celebrating murder. We taught our children that genocide was good. We were wrong. We were so very wrong. Admiral Hyan Wu gave the final speech. He stood where his daughter would have stood, carrying her memory with him. You tried to erase us because you were afraid of what we might become. But you did not understand humanity. We do not become great through conquest. We become great through survival, through choosing again and again to be better than our worst days. He looked out at the faces of 100 different species. You gave us 3,000 years alone. We used them to become worthy of the stars. Now we offer you the same chance. Learn from us. Grow with us. Become something better than you were. The applause lasted for hours. On Earth, the healing had begun. Human scientists worked day and night to clean the poison from the soil. It would take centuries, but someday, grass would grow again. Someday, children would play in those streets. In the ruins of Seoul, they built a memorial garden. Captain Hana helped design it. Bora wrote the words for the inscription. 47 languages, representing every species in the galaxy, carved into black stone. They thought we were gone forever. They were wrong. And because they were wrong, the galaxy learned what humanity always knew, that the darkest nights end, and that those who survive them carry the dawn within themselves. Hyan Wu visited the garden every year on the anniversary of Yuna's death. He would sit among the flowers and talk to her, telling her about the galaxy she had saved. You would be proud, he said on his last visit when he was very old. Humans and aliens work together now. Children grow up without fear. There are schools where Valari and Kreth and humans study side by side. He smiled through his tears. The darkness is ending, my daughter. The dawn is coming. He died peacefully that night, surrounded by family and friends from a dozen different species. And humanity lived on, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as proof that even in the darkest times, hope survives. Love survives. The human spirit survives. 3,000 years of exile. 3,000 years of grief. And in the end, 3,000 years of becoming something better. That was humanity's gift to the stars. That was their choice. And the galaxy would never forget.